Welcome to the Sacred Window podcast. Here, we look closely at the intersections of the postpartum window, the Ayurvedic perspective on health and healing, and the universal mother principles that are the keys to giving and receiving effective care. Hello, I'm Christine Devlin Eck. I'll be taking you through interviews with professionals who are making a profound difference in the lives of their clients, conversations with individuals brave enough to share their stories of vulnerability as a way to lift up others, and my own journey through birth, parenting, caregiving, and building a conscious business. We are here to honor the sacred windows, the profound transitions in life that give it all meaning. Welcome to the conversation.
And I will never be the same again.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sacred Window podcast. I'm delighted to be sharing this podcast episode on the road. I am currently in Wyoming. If you are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see behind me. But I didn't want to miss sharing this episode. Bodywork for postpartum for me has become the central focus of how I work with clients at this point in my work. And I believe in this aspect so much. And as we grow towards September, where we'll be taking our students through a conscious touch for postpartum, this module of our certification program, it felt really important to me to talk a little bit about what I would do if I was advising my beginner postpartum doula self in incorporating body work into my practice, because I believe it has countless benefits for integrating birth, for beginning to support the tissues and returning to their original state, and really pacifying the nervous system and supporting integration on an emotional and spiritual level for partners, for babies. There's just endless benefits. And that's not really what this episode is about. This episode is really about some things that I would tell myself if I were to do it again. So let's dive into that. The first thing, and I want to also, I guess I'll just pause before I go into number one and just say that as someone who studied Ayurveda first before going into doula care, Ayurvedic body work for me was something that I had been trained in. And so adding that into my doula practice was maybe different than it's going to be for someone who has never had any training whatsoever in body work. But what we work with our students in is how to look at where your skill set is, what is your background, what is your comfort level, what is your state or locations, legalities around touch, and how can we take all that information and put it into a set of services and offerings and routines and ways of giving care to your client that is going to impact their healing journey. That's what this is all about. And to ignore touch as a healing modality is really missing out on such a powerful practice, not only for the people that we're working with, but literally for ourselves and our family. I am such a firm believer, and we can't separate the fact that we're learning to give good care so that we can be included in this process, so that our children, so that our partners, our loved ones, our friends, our sisters, our daughters, our sons, all of it. So with that, number one for me is that every client we work with should be given some kind of conscious touch practice. And I'll give you a few examples. So for example, in our program, we teach postpartum Abhyanga, the warm oil massage that's daily, regularly for the postpartum window. Someone to have this every single. Not everybody is going to be ready for a full body practitioner given. That's okay. So, a few examples of how this has shown up kind of organically in my practice is one client that I worked with. She had a cesarean birth and she experienced a lot of swelling. This is very common for people who have been put on IVs during labor. And so, postpartum, in the first couple of weeks, her legs were tremendously swollen. So, what I was able was just to work on oil and just, this was not a full body. She was not on a table. She was not undressed. She was cozy. She was nursing her baby in a rocking chair, and I propped her feet up on my lap, and I just very gently did the warm oil massage to help start to move that lymph, that fluid in her body, and to get that going again. Another example actually happened for myself when my colleague Julia was taking care of me after my fourth baby was born. And there just simply wasn't time. Like at that point, I had three other little kids. I was kind of like, the sacred window experience looks different every time. And it, of course, did for me. And in this particular moment, she just held my hands and gave me a hand massage and started to talk to me and talk me through some things that I was feeling at the time or sharing, and got me to open up and start to process and just connect with her and feel like I was being seen. And she was giving me this unbelievable, gentle, simple, but so impactful hand massage. And I think maybe she kind of worked up my elbows, but the point of it is whether we are able to get the person on the table for a full warm oil massage, which is, of course, we'd love to do. Sometimes that's not always possible. And we can still give them appropriate conscious touch, which gives them the impact of slowing down, of creating a gentle, appropriate, balanced rhythm for the nervous system that gives them the ability to really feel that someone's seeing them, that someone is holding them energetically. This is what we want, even if it's a small 5-minute, I see you, I'm here for you, I'm touching you with this intention to create healing. And it can be honestly like someone's hands on your shoulders, but them just putting their hands on you with love, with kindness, does wonders. So I would tell myself to not feel the pressure that if it's not a full Abhyanga, a full hour-long treatment, then it's not doing any good. That is the myth that I would tell myself to erase, is that every time I met with a client, I could integrate conscious touch in some way. And there are, of course, so many other ways. And we talk to our students a lot about this.
How are you sharing your gifts and passion for caregiving with others? In a world where education and awareness around the postpartum window is lacking or missing from our modern systems, we have a profound opportunity to shift that paradigm. You may be a few simple offerings away from making a truly impactful difference in the lives of mothers and families in your community. We are here to support your journey in the ways that work best for you. Schedule a conscious care strategy session to meet one-on-one with me, and let's identify the right next step for you to begin a path of conscious care for new families that fits your life and your needs. Visit www.sacredwindowstudies.com/strategy-session to schedule a time that works best for you. That's www.sacredwindowstudies.com/strategy-session.
The second thing I would tell myself, and this is something that my colleague Ashley, who's our conscious touch for postpartum teacher, this is something that she did, which I thought was so beautiful. She offered a full postpartum Abhyanga treatment to midwives in her area, to home birth midwives in particular. And she gave them this treatment so that they could literally experience what it felt like. She let them know, this is, what I'm doing. This is what I'm trained in. I'd love to offer this to you so that you have a sense of what it actually feels like, what the impact of it is. And of course, after someone experiences that loving experience of care, warmth, of nourishment on all of the levels of the tissues, it got her a lot more business. A lot more clients were coming her way because these midwives were like, Ashley is someone who's offering this treatment. It's really supportive. It's very healing. I fully recommend it because they've experienced it. Now, I think she even was able to create a sort of partnership with one of them. So, a postpartum visit with a treatment was built into the midwives offerings. And that's, there's lots of ways that partnerships and collaboration and referrals happen. And this is something we really encourage people to do, is to not stay in your little bubble, even though sometimes our imposter syndrome might make it feel like that's safer, or we just may feel shy. And I remember that. And so as myself now, looking back on my just beginning a practice self, I would say reach out to some key people who are working with the type of clients that I know I can serve really well, who I think would want these services, and offer them a treatment. A little bit of time and a little bit of intention will go a very long way in helping you to get the word out about what it is that you're offering, particularly about body work for postpartum, which is not as often practiced as we know that it should be. The third thing that I would tell myself is to not overlook teaching with all of my clients. Something that every person who is going through a postpartum window, and also everyone, because this is also just part of an Ayurvedic routine, is a self-massage. I would teach every single client how to do the self-oil massage. And this is something that we teach in our bodywork module coming up. But this piece, if someone can get oil on their body every day, it's unlikely that someone can pay to have someone come in and give them a postpartum Abhyanga for the first 42 days. It happens, but it's not common for most of us. But if we know how to do the self-massage, and we can take even 5 minutes to get that oil on our skin, to experience the benefit of this practice, our clients are going to get better very quickly, and they're going to feel stronger. They're going to be so appreciative. It is a lifelong gift to know how to do this. So I would prioritize that. The other teaching piece that I would prioritize is teaching the families to give the infant Abhyanga. So I've done a recent resource on supporting partners and grandparents and other primary caregivers, siblings, and how to promote bonding with babies. As a birth giver who's nursing, every time we nurse, we get those hormones that are encouraging us to connect on a soul level with our babies. But to support the families to do that, teaching them the infant Abhyanga will do that. Every single time they give that treatment to their babies, they are increasing the experience of bonding. And it's, of course, so beneficial on all the tissue levels for the baby to experience that practice on a daily basis. So sometimes doulas will offer those as standalone, and I've certainly had clients hire me to come in and teach them how to do it, but I would integrate it into every client I worked with. When we have these skills for making sure that a person is experiencing the benefits of conscious touch in their healing journey, it sets us apart from kind of what standard doula care is teaching us to do. It is creating an enhanced level of connection and bonding between us and our clients. And it's really helping to send the message and shift the paradigm that this is an integral part of what healing looks like. And hopefully, as our clients grow into parenthood through all the ages of raising their children, they're going to know that touch is something that they can still do, and they will still do it to some degree. It will change, it will look different, but that's how we really make an impact with people, is by showing them, by getting them to experience it. And they will tell their friends, they will do the same for their own children. When they become grandparents, they will carry it forward. And that's really what's giving the heart to our work. That's what fuels our fire. So I hope that this has been helpful. I feel like in reflection, there are other things that I'd like to share about looking back on my beginning experience and how I would do things different now, or what I would tell myself. And it's good to do that. But I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being here. Within these show notes, I'll attach that resource for supporting people with bonding. And this is really a good time to connect with us. And if you are feeling called to integrate touch for postpartum into your practice, regardless if you are a massage therapist, if you are an Ayurvedic practitioner, if you have zero experience with this type of work, there are ways that we can make sure that our clients receive this and that we are practicing from a safe scope of practice within our bounds. So I urge you all, if this is you, if this is speaking to you, to contact us. This is something that we have thought a lot about as we plan our in-person training for 2026, which is to create a specialization for folks who are really geared towards body work, as well as folks who are really geared towards nutrition and meal prep. So if you are curious about those specializations, if you are curious about studying online with us and want a little bit of extra support and mentoring and guidance around what integrating this piece of caregiving looks like for you specifically, it's a great time to reach out, and you can do so by shooting me an email, Christine@sacredwindowstudies.com. But I appreciate you. I appreciate the intention you give to your clients, and I hope that this has been helpful. Have a great day, everyone.
Shanti, Shanti.
The Center for Sacred Window Studies has been training postpartum care providers, professionals who work with new families, and individuals passionate about postpartum care since 2018. We regularly host live free events alongside our online and in-person training and certification programs. Hop on our newsletter list to get direct access to all of our events and community support gatherings. Our mission is not only in training conscious postpartum care providers, but in fostering a robust, informed, and thriving community of postpartum professionals. Once you step inside, you're family forever. Visit www.sacredwindowstudies.com to add your email to our newsletter list. You can support our work by subscribing to the Sacred Window podcast and sharing with someone you know who would love it. Thanks for being here and participating in the culture-wide shift that recognizes the need for and the importance of conscious postpartum care.